everyone, I am going to be doing the second teacup on this Small Victories postcard today. This is from a page in Small Victories, but there is a teapot and a spoon as well, but the postcards only have the 2 cups, so that's what I'm going to be doing. If you missed the other video, it will be available on my channel, so you can go back and have a look at it. Doesn't matter which order you do them in. Now we have a sort of fish tank in a cup, which is rather fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to colour this cup the same as the last one. The design is the same, but I think it might be nice to do it a little bit differently. But we're going to do the inside like we did with the other one. We're going to do the inside first and then deal with the outside. Ooh, excuse me. Now I'm going to start with these pebbles. They could be grey, they could be brown. I'm thinking greys. We've got actually quite the assortment of greys here. We could do different ones. I'm just trying to get them out a little bit. So this grey I'm going to use first. It is called light bluish grey. And where should we start? We'll start with this one. Now I quite like with a rounded item to make it darker on the edge and then lighter towards the centre. That can help it to look more spherical. So I'm just going over the layers here on the outside and then doing a few less here and taking it through to the centre where I don't want many at all, and that should help. But it might be because the grey is quite a light grey, so it may not show up that well. I'm just looking in the camera, it does show up reasonably well, which is good. So there's that one. I'm just going to grab the next grey at random. This needs to sharpen. It's the slate grey. It's darker actually. They're not in order in the tray. Doesn't matter. There you go. Slate grey. And this one. I don't know how many stones we'll be going. We'll be using each one at least twice. It's a bit less towards that middle. There we go. The next one is the medium grey. I know that Polycolor, these Canal Polycolors, there's actually a really big set with just greys. So if you like doing monochromatic pictures with grey, then you might find their grey sets quite good. And they're not, the pencils aren't the best ones I've used. You know, with regards to shading and blending and things, getting small details and that sort of thing. They aren't always the best, but they are rather nice. With Cool Grey 3, I like them. But obviously what we like and dislike is very subjective. So here's this one. I'm going to do a second one in this colour because I'm going to go back through the colours in a minute. I'm thinking maybe this one here. A little bit harder when it's only half a one, but just do what feels right, really. There we go. Now we're back to our medium grey. I think I'll do this one here. There we go. And then this one on the end. I'm a bit hoarse at the minute. I just can't speak. I did just go and get some drinks for everybody, coffees and teas. My one son likes coffee and the other one likes tea. The one that yeah, light bluish grey next. The one that likes coffee will drink tea, especially if it's in a teapot. I made a pot of tea the other morning because it always feels a luxury to have a pot of tea. It takes longer to drink. I had a pot of tea today, actually, it was lovely. So I made myself a pot of tea the other morning, sat down at the breakfast bar, getting my breakfast ready. You know, I got all the cereals out and things like that. My son comes along, says, "Oh, thanks, slate grey for that last one." Pours himself a mug of tea out of my teapot. Then other son has a coffee, finishes it, and gets himself a cup and saucer. That's some of my tea. So I end up with like just one. I had 3 cups of tea, but my cups are teeny, so tea for everyone then. But anyway, I could have made another pot, but I'm going to do that tomorrow. This is dark olive green. As I said on yesterday's video, it's my birthday tomorrow, so I'm going to spoil myself with a pot of tea for breakfast. I've asked husband if he can make me some fried bread. Delish. And I don't often have fried bread. And then, not sure what I'm doing for the day. I've saved up the cards that have come through the post to open, so that's exciting. And they're having a bit of a family get together on Sunday. It's Friday today, which I'm really looking forward to. And seeing everybody. And what else? Yeah, I've got a few nice meals planned really. I think when we get old, not that old enough, it feels nice to sort of celebrate with food, with family, with get-togethers rather than presents aren't such important to me, you know. I know that most people that I know haven't got loads of money, and yeah, I don't expect them to be spending it on me anyway. Like anyone with kids, spend your money on your kids, you know, it's important. Anyone with mental health difficulties, spend it on yourself, you know, if you can afford to, sort of thing, you know. So I don't have a high expectation, I just want a fun day. I'm going to use this colour because it's pretty. It's the reddish brown. I'm going to use it for this seaweed here. I'm going to put down a light layer to start with and then darken it up in a minute. Yes, husband wants to go to an art exhibition. I'm not so keen. He might go on Saturday. My son needs him to help him with his essay tomorrow. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm definitely going to go out for a walk along the canal. Saw the heron yesterday, twice. I mean, my son went, I'd take him to a hospital checkup appointment. Well, I say take him, we went on the bus. I wasn't taking him, but I was going with him. He wanted me to go with him. And we walked to the bus stop along the canal path. I'm going back around again, and saw the heron. It was lovely. On the way home, now we'd gone to the next town. I'm going to use this gold ochre to do the inside. So we'd been away for, we must have been gone for a few hours. Let's see, must have walked along the path about past 12. Appointment was 2. We got the 3:05 bus home, so it must have been nearer to 4. It was still there on exactly the same little stick. I did wonder whether it had gone and come back. It couldn't have been there all the time we were out. It was a long time. Okay, I'm going to do these other 2 plants, one in a green and one in a yellowy gold. Let's use the light ochre. Here we go. I just often look at seaweeds. If you see them on the beach, they're not normally green. They're sometimes black. I don't want to colour it black. Sort of purpley colours, browns. This colour makes this look like wheat or corn, maize. Anyway, doesn't matter. But they're rarely just green. So I'd like to do something a bit different. And we are going to do a green for our last one. I'm just being very indecisive. I think this one. Is this the meadow green? Yeah, the meadow green. Here I'm just trying to make them slightly darker nearer the plant. If you want to, you could put a darker green in, and I might do that in a minute. I might get a darker green and play with it a bit. Just get this down. I'm trying to make it darker here, but it isn't Well, I do like this colour, working that well. So I'm going to grab the dark green. Got a cramp in my toe. Ooh, that's better. It's just the way I had it positioned. Yeah, so it amazed me that the heron was there and still there. But someone said, well, he's got a lot to compete with now with the otter eating all the fish. But actually, there's plenty of fish. This is light brown. I'm going to give it a sharpen. Plenty of fish in a different bit of the canal, just not that bit. I don't know. But my son just said, well, what else has he got to do? Where else would he go? Well, I would imagine they might have some sort of nest. I say nest tentatively, I don't know if they have a nest. These grasses, I'm going to make them a little darker at the bottom. I think I'm going to have to use a brown because I don't have a darker green apart from the dark green which I've used already. It's the wrong tone of colour. I use this dark brown just to make the bottoms a little bit darker. So that was a joy. I always think it's a joy to see wildlife, well, certain types. It's not a joy to see a rat, that's for sure, but which I have seen on the canal path. Anyway, yeah, I was talking to my friend about rats because she gets them in her house too because of living so close to the canal. She's almost, her back wall backs right onto the path. I actually think these are a bit dull. I'm going to get the yellowish green and pop over the top and try and get them to look warm and more pleasant. And she was like, yeah, I feel for you. She said, I know how horrible it is. She said, you can hear them scratching all night and you think, are they going to get through into my house? They're going to end up on my bed. I was like, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Are they going to get in? Are they going to scratch through the ceiling? Oh. Anyway. So she was very sympathetic. But now fish. Now I often do fish orange, but we've got our orange plant here, so I'm going to do this one purple or violet. I'm going to start with the bluish violet and do its fins. Oh, it needs sharpening. But anyway, yes, it's always a pleasure to see certain wildlife. So when I'm along the canal path, I don't often see ducks. We have mallards and mandarin ducks. Don't see them very often, so when I see them, that's a joy. Saw one flying the other day. I'm going to do this fish different colour. Now I'm going to use the lavender violet for this fish. I'm going to sort of ignore the markings and just do the whole fish. And swans, always nice to see. I haven't seen one of those for ages. If I see a magpie or a pigeon, not quite so excited. Wrens, I see a fair bit. I haven't seen any long-tailed tits lately. Often see those in the summer. It's probably a little bit early. I'm just choosing them that I'm going to do this one orange. Reddish orange first for the fins and tail. Yeah, and we see wagtails a lot. But seeing a heron or a kingfisher, this is Persian orange, or an otter. I've seen the otter only twice lately, twice this year. I haven't seen any kingfishers this year. So, you know, and the heron also is rarish, although I heard it this morning when I got up. And I think it must have been on one of the rooftops in our street, squawking away. They make a horrible noise. Wow, they're very prehistoric looking. If you ever see a heron flying, I'm going to use the pea green for the water first. It's not going to be our only layer, so keep it light. Yeah, I heard it this morning. I don't think it was just flying over because it was a lot, you know, I heard it a lot. too much for it to just be flying. What's interesting is we never get geese on our canal. I've seen a cormorant. One year there was a cormorant. It's a baby one. But no. Never see geese. Apparently there's some, oh, what were they called? No, shanks? No, that's wrong. I don't know. There was some sorts of gossanders, but I've never seen them. But sometimes if you walk down by the river, you see more as well, because some of the birds are both on the canal and the river. But it also depends how busy it is. If there's a lot of people with their dogs, the birds get scared. Interestingly, there was a warning actually on Facebook. The council was saying there'd been reports that someone's dog was attacking a swan. It was reminding people they're supposed to keep them on the lead. The bylaw that the council has with regards to leads on the canal path changes every 5 years or so, but at the moment they have to be put out for public consultation every time, and at the moment they have to be on a lead, but people don't know, there's no signage, so I can't really blame people for not knowing. But this is bluish green. You would think when there was wildlife around, people might be a little more mindful, but some of them just don't think. I guess some don't care. But I don't know why you would walk along the canal if you didn't care, you know? It's like, I remember there was some pollution in the canal. Some oil had been tipped in, and people were saying, oh, it must be the people that live nearby, they done it. It's like, why would you, if you lived right by it? You bought the house that's right by it. It's more expensive because it's near the canal. Why would you pollute it? It made no sense. It turned out a lorry had come. We're going back to this pea green and we're just going to try and blend that in a bit. So basically colouring over it again and then just making this pea green layer a bit darker, but not all the way up. It turns out a lorry came near and just tipped it into the lock. It's like, really? The problem is that it's expensive now to throw things away. The rubbish tips, etc., dumps, are encouraged to try to only take recyclable materials and not take too much rubbish because it's too expensive for the landfill, etc. But the problem with that is that then people will fly tip, which means just dump their rubbish in places where it doesn't belong. So that's happening more and more because businesses have to pay to use the rubbish tip, and you know, also ours is really hard to get to. It's quite far away, but you know, that's no excuse really for just tipping your oil in. But you know, it wasn't like it was a small amount of oil, it was a significant amount of oil, so it was a shame. We've also had oil in the canal before because there was a digger working nearby and it was crossing the canal to go get to its work and it fell in. Oops. And then the oil came out of the engine into the canal. But that obviously was an accident. It's much more forgivable. Plus, because the person who was driving it, cerulean blue, and do the handle, remember we're doing the same as the last one, so I don't know if you watched, but start light. The person who was driving it would have been aware, and they put in some floats to contain the oil so it didn't float off downstream. So that was much better. So we're going to go around the edge with the darker layer. Sometimes the canal water changes colour too. Once it was green. Now it can be sort of jungly green at times when there's algae. But sometimes it's it has gone a very luminous neony green before, and I was quite sure what was going on. I've also been along there before and all the fish were dead and floating on the surface, which was a bit of a shame. But I can only assume there was some poison of some description. Well, something that poisoned them anyway. There are a lot of fish. The angling club use the canal, and I'm just going to find a darker blue. Here we go. So they actually put fish in. This is the sapphire blue. We'll use it around the edge of the handle. Yeah, they put fish in to fish, but you have to be a member of the club to fish, which is fair enough, and you have to put them back. You know, it's not for eating. Although I do sometimes see people fishing in there for food, and it's very difficult because I'm assuming they're not part of the club and they haven't got a license and they shouldn't be. But, you know, gosh, if they're desperate for food that they're fishing, then, you know, who am I to judge? I just don't. Cerulean blue, say anything. I mean, we can never tell what someone's circumstances are just by looking. So I always think it's better to leave well alone. You know, I'm not a member of the club. It's not really any of my business. They might be members, for all I know. They might hold a license. I don't know if fishing licenses are a thing everywhere. And we're back to our sapphire blue and do these little ones. Like these, a bit darker at the top than the bottom. But, yeah, I have heard of instances going on down there where people without licenses have got into trouble. But, or kids have got into trouble too. But some kids don't need licenses until they're 12, I think. So I understand. This is the dark azure blue. I'm going to use it for the rest of the mug. So for the bottom part here, like I did on the other one, I'm going to do a little bit darker here. Fade it a little bit towards the middle. Start here and do the same thing coming back this way. Oh, I've got a gurgle. Right, oh, gets light in the wrong place. There we go. So it's the 9th of May today, and it is the second Eurovision Song Contest semi-final. I did mention them in another video, the Eurovision. We're going to fade it up. So it's basically a European song contest between, I think how many countries, I did know this, 26 I think. Not every country. It can be expensive and some countries have boycotted it, and for political reasons we won't go into, but there are always it's supposed to just be fun. You know, like the Olympics isn't supposed to be political, it's a similar aim. So none of the songs are allowed to be political, and no one's allowed to make a political statement with their clothing. This is number 8. One person did in the other previous semi-final, but they shouldn't have done. But yeah, I can see why they did. But anyway, we're not going into that. Politics is a tricky issue. I'm going to put some white on each of these pebbles. I'm not sure it's going to really show up on the grey, but I'll know I've done it and tried anyway. And now we put dots on our flowers, but I'm not sure. I quite like the simplicity of those leaves, so just put a little bit of white on the edge of the cup. down here it will show it better where I've got a bit of a thicker bit of blue. There we go. I'm going to keep it like that. Let's straighten it. It's wonky. I think that's right. There we go. I've got some lines on my screen so that I can line things up, believe it or not. You wouldn't believe it. I get them quite wonky, don't I? We'll come out and we'll look at both together. So we've got a red cup and a blue cup, which I think is quite cute. You could have done them the same colour if you prefer. Either colour would have worked on either cup. But as we'd used no blue on this one, I felt that it worked, and very little red on that one. So, you know, but obviously it's up to you. But there we are. So just a very mini series with these two. But I can see the Polycolor pencils do work very nicely on the postcards. So that's always good news. And yeah, so, as I said in the last video, if you want a swatch chart for Polycolor or some comparison charts to see what other pencils they work with, there are links in the description. If you want comparison charts done that I haven't done, let me know and I'll see if I can do it. I did promise someone one the other day, which I need to do now, I think. But there we go. That is those. So thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, all those lovely things. Have a super day and happy colouring.